You could stay halfway. I'm just so friends.
Let me just close with a quote from you earlier in your campaign. You said, quote, "Our generation must be the one that says we must halt global warming. It won't be easy, but it is time to ask the American people to be patriotic about something other than war," unquote. Friends of the Earth Action believes this is the right message. It won't be easy, but John Edwards is the patriot to lead us to meet this huge challenge. So we give you our endorsement.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, let me say first, thank you, Friends of the Earth. I'm very proud and honored to have their support, to have their endorsement. This organization has been doing worldwide advocacy on the environment, on protecting the planet for decades now, and they have enormous weight and credibility and prestige in this area of protecting the environment. And you know, I'm reminded out here in this beautiful setting on a Sunday in New Hampshire what our moral responsibility is to protect the world, to protect the earth on behalf of our children, ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. And it's why I came out very early and very aggressively for addressing the issue of global warming. You know, I want to take just a moment and applaud my friend and someone I've admired for so long, Al Gore, for his receipt of the Nobel Prize. I think it's something all Americans should be proud of. He's represented us well. He's been an extraordinary leader and advocate on an issue which, when he began advocating on it, was a fairly lonely task. It's less lonely today because of men like Al, men and women like Al Gore, because of Friends of the Earth and others who've been out there showing strength and courage. And so I'm proud to be speaking on this issue. I take enormous responsibility as both a presidential candidate and I will as president to taking the steps, the aggressive steps that I believe are necessary to address this crisis. And it is a crisis by any possible measure. No one who's paying attention can think this is not a crisis. I saw a piece in the Guardian newspaper a few weeks ago based on some work being done by American scientists indicating that the polar ice cap could literally be gone in 23 years if we don't alter our behavior here in America and around the world. It is time for America to lead on this issue. It's time for us to show that we're going to take action, that we're going to take responsibility, and I want to be the President of the United States who actually leads that effort. And I do want to speak briefly to the whole issue of what's happening in Washington and why we've not taken the steps that need to be taken in addressing global warming. Because the problem is we have a dysfunctional system in Washington. We have a system that's rigged against the interests of ordinary people. Oil companies, power companies, gas companies, etc., have entirely too much influence in the decision-making process in our government, which is why yesterday I laid out an initiative to try to restore the power in the government back to the American people. We've seen it on this issue. We've seen the oil company lobby. We've heard their voice loud and clear. You know, ExxonMobil came out and funded a right-wing group to dispute some of the findings of the scientific community about the impact of global warming and the human causes of global warming. I mean, we've been in these kind of battles for far too long. I mean, the science is undisputed now. We have a responsibility to respond, and I intend to respond first on the important, critical issue of protecting our Earth, which is by capping greenhouse gas emissions in America. America actually investing in clean, renewable sources of energy, wind, solar, cellulose-based biofuels. And Brent pointed this out. I am not in favor of and am opposed to the building of new nuclear power plants, which is different than the position that's been taken by Senator Clinton and Senator Obama. I do not believe we should liquefy coal. The last thing we need is a new carbon-based fuel in America. And I, in fact, don't believe we should be building new coal-fired power plants, since we do not have the ability to capture the carbon. And then finally, something that I've spoken about often, and this goes to the question of being patriotic about something other than war. I do believe Americans will need to sacrifice. I believe we're going to have to take responsibility for ourselves, for our country, and for the earth. And that means we're going to have to be willing to conserve. To conserve in our homes, to conserve in our workplaces, to drive more fuel-efficient vehicles. All of us have to take responsibility and meet our responsibility as stewards of the earth. So I'm very proud to have this endorsement. We will be working to push this issue of global warming throughout the course of the presidential campaign. And more importantly, as President of the United States, I'm going to lead America's effort to aggressively address this crisis that faces America and faces the rest of the world. Questions? Thank you.